Hey, good morning. Welcome to Foreigner in the Philippines. I'm taking a break just before I really start to get into doing our house, our quarantine madness, remodeling the house project, and which is going pretty well. We took a lot of the day off yesterday, so things are slowing down, but it's expanding and it's getting better along the way, I think. So I really wanted to point out, which so many people will already know and will know much more about it than I, but our present situation, I hate to use grandiose, over-the-top, dramatized phrases like historically, but historically something is happening around us at the moment, and we need, at the very least, we need to be aware. Right, now anybody who has children will know that one of the ways in which you stop them or start them on behaving well is you sometimes, if they get into a tantrum, you distract them with something. And you may distract them with many things. My mother used to say to me, if ever I said, "Mom, I'm bored," she'd say, "Oh, are you really? Well, if you're bored, I can find you something to do that will keep you very interested." And suddenly I would stop being bored. Now, at the moment, we are part, this is why I use the word historically, we are part of a global takeover. Global, that means every country in the world. Every country in the world at the moment is having their mother say that they'll stop them being bored by giving them something to do. And the something to do is this global pandemic. Now, we all have been told now about the 1918 pandemic, which killed so many millions of people. Now, eventually, because of the huge number of people that live on this planet that we call Earth, it comes down to percentages. And if you were to try to do something, even if it was as simple as shooting a basket. In basketball, if you were practicing, if you shot 100 times, if the percentage was 98 success, you would be doing very well. Now, at the moment, the percentages that are involved, and I won't bore you with those because there are so many people that are actually better at it than I am, but the percentages of loss of this virus, which has been put upon us deliberately, it is evident now because it came from Wuhan, and it is now being shown by our own eminent surgeons, doctors, health workers, scientists are saying that actually it couldn't have just leapt from a bat to attacking a human. It had to be specially helped. So it was developed, and the plot really thickens once you get into that, because some of the money came from the US, and our own beloved Dr. Fauci, however you pronounce that name, I'm not sure, in cahoots, it turns out, in hand in hand partnering with the other person who actually now, because so much support has been bought by billions of dollars being given to support from hospitals, universities, the World Health Organization, all of these august bodies, formally I would say, have been bought. They've all had terrific amounts of money given to them, and that has brought some support. And this man who would take us to the gates of hell, see, we're not actually, we're being led to understand that we better be careful what name we actually give. Otherwise, even YouTube and Facebook will pick up on that name, and what we have to say will be deleted. The wise ruler of Facebook is saying that he will make sure that there's no misinformation. Who is going to be the judge of that, by the way? If we were to sit in on the conversation of two people who were on opposing sides of the teams, the only thing that's real to me is Manchester United and Manchester City. I have listened to so many arguments about which is the best team there. So who is it possible that, say, the man who owns Facebook could decide whether it was Manchester City or United? And are we going to rely on his view on whether one is better than the other? No, we're not. And so therefore, we should be, as adults, we should be able to make our own mind up on the information that is being given to us. And even President Trump mentioned the other day that this was an artificial event. It was a conceived event, something that was created, this whole event that we're going through right now. So all that I'm trying to do here is not to say, in effect, not to say whether you should vote and give your support to Manchester City or to Manchester United or the Lakers or whoever it would be. But you have to make up your own mind, and in order to do that, you have to understand that there is a great debate going on right now, and the outcome of that has been paid for by billions of dollars being given to all of these various people who can be called upon for their support. Now, we built some houses, and we put families who were living on a dirt floor in houses that were no more than a wreck, that didn't hold out the elements. Now, if we called upon them now, and they didn't pay a damn, nothing, and we went along there, and we didn't know them, and we saw the plight that they were living under, and we helped them. Now, we paid for an improvement in their life. Now, do you think that we could go along there now and ask them to speak on our behalf? Do you think if anybody starts to blacken our name, they will stand by and say nothing? No. They'll say, no, Terence and Beth were very good people. They built this house for us. In other words, in a way, we paid for that support. We don't need it. It's a hypothetical situation. We don't need it. But we paid for that in a way by helping them. And the gates of hell have been paying even prestigious bodies like the Johns Hopkins Hospital, some of the greatest million-dollar universities that you have to pay exorbitant amount of money to receive an education there, to be able to say, well, I went to this university. Now, they've been paid for. It must be plain to see that the media is also no longer independent. It's no longer objective. They no longer report the news. They fabricate. In so many instances, they fabricate. Now, we're all liars, to some extent. You know, if I walk out one morning and I stop by the sari store and I get a drink and the lady says to me, how are you? If I'm having the worst day in my life, I'm going to tell her, I'm fine, thank you. How are you? I'm not going to share that because I can speak in that moment, in that context. It's called an acceptable lie. We all do this, and what we judge to be an acceptable lie changes the higher that we go in the pecking order. So if you're up in government, a lot of the time these people will lie in their teeth, and we have had so much misinformation, and now apparently part of the misinformation is being censored for us as good little children. These people are saying, oh, you're bored? Then I'll find you something to do. And that's what happened. And while all of this has been going on, one of the agendas that's important historically, but not the agenda, not the global takeover agenda, is China. While everybody else is struggling and focused on this pandemic, they are going around building islands, taking over Hong Kong, quarreling with Taiwan. All of these things, all of these elements of opposition and conquest are all happening now. And China is very, very busy. And if you oppose China, as Australia is doing at the moment, they will go after you. Those American statesmen who have been saying, wait a minute, they brought this on us, this global catastrophe, they brought it on us, they should be made to pay. And they're talking now, getting together, there's 4 or 5 or 6, possibly 10 American politicians who are saying that China should be held accountable. And China are going after them personally, and they're threatening them personally. So you can see the way that it's going to go. Hence, we have to be careful, us, the little people, who are just struggling with a few thousand subscribers, to point out that things are not, it's gone very Hollywood-esque, hasn't it? Things are not quite what they seem. So my plea is that you look carefully, try to find a way to look beyond what is actually being showed there. A little while ago I saw 2 photographs of the same situation, and it was talking about social distancing. And the one photograph with all the recognizable faces of the people that are standing in line, they were all bunched up, standing next to each other. And in the next photo, the same people in the same line at the same moment were distanced apart. The only difference was that the first crowded together picture was taken from the end of the line, and the other was taken from across the road, where you could see the entire picture. Have a look at the next picture that you are given and try to see from what viewpoint it was taken. That's what I would urge. And then make up your mind. Also, you might have a look at what your life is right now and what is being projected for you, which will be, I think, close to the gates of hell. We've got to be paying attention. This is globally historical. Globally, it's not just one country now. The effort, the agenda, the push is to get everybody, and I mean everybody, to come to this war. And it's a war for our survival and our freedom and for the freedom of our children. Worth a little bit of effort, I think. Bye for now.